about the things that set up. So I'm going to take you through this next slide, which is...
I am on as well.
Are you? Oh, good. That was a perfect lead-in for you.
What's it?
Because we're going to start off with the 4 things that you usually discuss to set us up for service. See?
There you go.
There you go,
well,
buddy.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, yeah, good morning.
I see some wonderful names online here already, so thanks for joining us on a Monday morning. Starting on this session with mission, as Terry said, mission, where these 4 cornerstones really are, these 4 things are the biggies to us. They're what sets us up to service in a perfect way. So the mission is the decision of really why we, it's the what and the why of our business, what we want to accomplish, why it's important that we accomplish it. And I think that when we determine those things, it really sets up the rest of the business for success, but also it should be challenging. The what and the why shouldn't be necessarily an easy thing to accomplish. It's not easy to be in business today. It's not easy to to identify these things, but it's kind of that wake you up in the middle of the night and what's on your mind for the purpose of your business. What is it that we want to accomplish?
I think that when we talk about service discipline, Steve, if we haven't talked about what we want our salon to be, the mission is in place because it'll help you understand what you're trying to create your salon from the customer standpoint. It's really what we want. Our mission, perhaps, is to be the best salon in the community that has the best reputation, that delivers the best technical work as well as service work, chairside manner, and so on and so forth. But if it's not even on our radar when we start our business, the business could open with a very casual result.
Well, and to be honest, that to be the best salon in your area and whatnot almost sounds a little generic, just in its own sense. I know it was a broad scope, but it's not just that. Because what salon doesn't start out really wanting to be the best, at least in their heart? They think that what business doesn't start that way, thinking that they want to be the best at what they do. There's got to be that initial kind of inertia that moves you towards starting a business. But the kind of that what and the why behind it is really the important part. Why is that important? Why is it important to you in your salon, in your town, with your talent, with your experience, to have a business? Why not still be in the salon that you left, or why not be working for someone else? Why is it important that you structure a business, and what is it? How will you know? Another way to look at the what is, how will you know when you're firing on all cylinders? How will you know when that's happening? Is it beyond the checkbook? Is it beyond just the top line dollar figure? I think to maybe look to the conversations that I've had with John McCormick on this. Their mission really was to raise the level of hairdressers into what he thought was a respectable occupation. I mean, he knows hairdressers are smart. He knows that there is this unlimited potential, and so his whole idea at Visible Changes was to raise the esteem that the public held hairdressers in. And the way that they did that was having salons. The way that they did that was having people that earned significant amounts of money. But kind of that mission and the why it was important, because his wife was a hairdresser, and because he knew that hairdressers were in fact pillars and leaders in the community. So I think that maybe even to look at a Mother Teresa and what she implored businesses to be, knowing that businesses, once successful, could do more to change the world than people who weren't in business. And so I think that what truly is that mission, and I think that all of us, including including you and I at times, can minimize how important this mission is. It's that thing in the pit of your gut that says why why are we doing this, and where do we want to go.
So along with that, I'm going to add the 4 cornerstones, which I probably should have put in here, but I'll incorporate that later. Let's go to the vision of the business.
Okay, the vision really is the who and the how. It's more the it's the ability then to articulate the dream of that business, to take from the mission, right? Why we did it, why us, why not somebody else, and put it into a vision for what you want your people to stand for, what you want your business to become known for. I kind of love this idea of vision is the precursor to reputation. Reputation is your, Terry talks about that so much. It's really what the public says about you. Vision is the opportunity to determine what do you want the public to say about you. What do you want to be known for in business, and what's your method for accomplishing that? How will you put the things into place that are necessary from everything from a decor, from a branding standpoint, from a training standpoint, from a service offering standpoint? What's your vision for a outstanding guest experience in your business?
And when you think about people that are serving people, we have to take into consideration that the who, what are they going to look like? How are they going to serve? How are they going to speak? How are they going to carry themselves? And we're certainly going to talk about that in the future. But sometimes, do we ask our service providers, because we don't hire the proper way, or during the interview process, do we discuss how their personality must complement our standards of service? If we don't talk about those things up front, our expectations, we could come in and ask someone who just isn't meant to be that person. Steve, do you remember, can you tell the story of the young man that we hired, and he worked one day with us, and we let him go that night?
Sure. He happened to start with us in sales after going through the interviewing process, and his first day was the first day of a PSC net. And during that time, we, as those of you that are on the phone know, when we do an education program, we like to model service to to all of you. So in that modeling, it's everything from helping to serve the meals to pouring beverages and walking those beverages to the tables, and
to tidying up.
And cleaning up. Yeah, exactly. And so at the end of the day, this person looked at me and said, Steve, when you interviewed me, you said that that you and your wife's intention is to serve the guest and have them want for nothing. He said, I didn't realize that would include pouring beverages for hairdressers. And he said, there's no way that I'm going to do that. And we turned around then and said, well, there's no way that you'll work here then. And that was his first and only day working with us. So, again, it's how well can you define it so you know what doesn't fit in the quickest way. I was telling Terry that last week I had the opportunity to sit and listen to the founder of Uber, and I think everybody on the phone knows Uber, the alternate taxi service that's kind of become its own huge entity, multi-billion-dollar organization worldwide. And to hear this man articulate his vision for the company, and it was in step number one, his vision was to honor the city, the individual city that they're in. And so when they go to a big city, it's to find out how to be a good citizen and honor the city. And so the things that they did as a business then had to make the city better, either by reducing traffic, freeing up parking, reducing emissions. All of those different things were possible.
And the vision, part of it was the way his people carried themselves, the way their vehicles looked, and all of those things enhanced and romanced the service experience. And it all tied back to reputation that they wanted to have in the city that they were honoring.
Well, and I want to say a couple of other things about his vision, only because it was well thought out and was so well articulated that you could, as a customer, you wanted to be part of it. As a business person, you wanted to be better at what you do. At least I did when I heard it. And one of his first things was to talk about reliability, and then what does reliability mean to him, and when are they not reliable, and so on. And so he wants to be as reliable as someone going to their water faucet in their home and turning, just lifting the water faucet or turning it on and having water come out. That to him is reliability, that you don't even have to think about it. You don't even have to think, is water going to come out? You just go over and you turn it on. So in his business it was when you order a ride, that it's just immediately there. I mean, it's there. That 15 minutes is unacceptable to them. And so they jump through a lot of hoops in order to make that happen. So I thought that was interesting. The other thing that was a vision of theirs was to have their service be less expensive. And remember, this is cities, but to be less expensive than owning your own car. And so again, the vision is what allows people to buy into your company, to buy into what you're about. So what's the vision of your business, and how can we refine that? How can we collectively in all of our businesses refine that in such a way that, I mean, I think you'd agree, hearing Uber's vision, just those little bits of it, it's more thought out than that, but just those little bits, you've got a very clear-cut idea of what it is they're about and what they're not about. Someone asked them, do you want to be UPS? And without hesitation, and he said, absolutely not. That's not our model. Our model is within the city. It's not taking things from one city to another. So the better you define your vision, the more you can also say, this isn't our vision. This isn't who we are. And that helps a lot, because that muddies the water for all of us.
Well, and I think that when we talk about service and we think about all the things that we think we need to provide the customer, just in case they request it, I mean, they could do that, but they've chosen not to. They know what they're good at. And oftentimes when we're evaluating our business and our service disciplines, make sure we're offering the services that we're good at, that we're great at, that we know we can celebrate with our guests. If we have just-in-case services that usually get little attention or sometimes don't even get plugged in because it's not a core service that we deliver, should we be doing it? And that's the stuff that we really need to be concentrating on as we move forward. Do what we do well and what we know we're great at and that we can celebrate with our customer. As far as the non-negotiables go with this too, because we shouldn't have phones be more important than our guest size. Profanity, not acceptable in our business. Dress code, being out of dress code is a non-negotiable for us. Whatever your non-negotiables are, supports the service that you want your customer to enjoy in your business. You have to live by those and don't get weak on them. Can you look at your non-negotiables and maybe sometimes think they have to be looked at and maybe adjusted a little bit or shifted a little bit? Of course, but for the most part, your mission and vision will dictate what your non-negotiables are. And the last one, before we go into more specifics, is career path. And career path is, to the degree that you deliver extraordinary service, the guest will trust you with more of their money. So the service, it's all about celebrating the way in which you serve, the guest responding to your service in a positive way, and those service accolades allow you to increase your career path at the salon. So it all goes together very nicely.
Well, and again, going back to what I learned from from the gentleman from Uber.
Is Uber now your best friend?
Yeah, my best friend, Trevor,
Yeah,
I think is his name.
Trevor, yeah, okay.
We go way back to last week. But the thing that was interesting is there again, he had cab drivers was his, was that target, and so in thinking about that, and in his study of the cab industry and what they weren't making, the money they weren't making, and the amount of money they had to put up in order to be broke, it just didn't work. And so he built a career path that allowed for people to come in. And the example that he gave was in San Francisco, an Uber ride is 40% less than a cab ride. 40% less than a cab ride. But his people are making huge amounts of money, sometimes six figures and beyond per year in their own vehicles and working when they want to work. And that of course sounds very attractive, but think about it from a cabbie standpoint. It really is interesting. So in our world, when we talk about career path, can someone joining our business get a view of what their first 10 years are? Not only the money they can make, but how will they move through working with you? What things will take place? What milestones? How will they know they're making it? Will I start at one? And those of you on the phone know that we believe in a tiered guest pricing system and a tiered plan of titles, so that someone comes in at entry level as a trainee and then is awarded a chair, and once they're awarded a chair, they know what they have to do in order to move up and be able to charge more for their services. And then they know what they have to maintain, what they have to do from a training standpoint, from a learning standpoint, and then from a guest satisfaction standpoint in order to move up again. And they should have probably at least a decade view, 10 years of a view of what it's like to join, work in, progress, and achieve. It's when people's achievement need isn't being met that a lot of times, we say all the time that people won't stay working with you one day longer than they believe you can develop their career. And I think that's such an important thing. You say, well, how does that fit with service? With service disciplines. Well, if people don't believe that you're developing them, they're not giving the best service to the guest. Period. There's just no two ways about it. They have to believe that they're cared for, and that they're appreciated, and that they're moving forward in order to deliver extraordinary service to your guest in the salon. So all these things are, these are the big things. These are the biggies. The mission, the vision, the non-negotiables, and their career path. Because without these things being in place, service, it may happen. Outstanding guest service may happen, but there's nothing to.
It may not too.
It may not, and it may not get recognized, and it may use up our goodwill, our equity in the marketplace. So we have to be very, very aware of that. So career path is key.
So when we think about this now, as we go in and start to position service in our business, because that's what we're focusing on today. Remember, our job as leaders is to manage the talent. It's the employee's job to manage their effort. Now, when we look at this, when you manage the talent, you have to also position the talent in the right way. For example, don't cut them slack on their service just because they do a great haircut. Sometimes, and we've done that too, Steve, as leaders. We cut people slack even though the guest perception is what counts the most in business. It counts the most. That's the first grade. And sometimes we want to pass people technically on things when their service is struggling. And we have to make sure that we're doing that and they're counting on us to direct their talent in the right way. Now also, what kind of effort are you getting out of your people on shifting to make the changes necessary to be outstanding at their craft? And sometimes they want to wait. Now, before you start, this goes with the questions that Steve was talking about before. What do you want this to look like? What do you want this to feel like as a customer? What do you pledge to your guest? What do you need to pledge to the business that you're going to do to make sure your guest is protected? And you need to write the playbook before you bring in the people. So pick your starters. Now, we're going to use some sports analogy today because what we can learn from people who have to manage the biggest egos, I think, is unbelievable. You've got to write the playbook before you bring in the people. Sometimes we bring in the people and write the playbook. Steve, can you test or talk to this, please?
Well, Terry, I'm thinking that when you say write the playbook before you bring in the people.
Write the service standards.
Yeah,
the
write
service
the service
steps.
standards. How do you want it to be? Not what does Mary do well. Now
and then
she's
she can
working
do it.
here with me, and yeah, and she can do it. Or a lot of times, salon owners will hire a manager to write this part of their business. And,
right.
And I've got to tell you that this comes down to you as the founder, as the person that's the keeper of the vision. This comes down to you to write the playbook. What is it that how do you want a guest to be served? I think that we also have to take into consideration what the guest knows now when they walk through the door. Our businesses are so much more transparent than ever before because of Facebook, because of Instagram, because of the internet and Yelp and everything else, and they know more not only about your business, but they know about how to be served in a salon, and they know what to expect as a guest. And so we are very much in the era of outstanding guest service and developing the most incredible guest experience. If it were a computer, they'd be talking about user interface, them enjoying what they're doing on the computer as a user. Are they enjoying what they're experiencing in your salon? And not just with you, and not just with your best performers, but how do we make sure? Remember that professional standard is how poorly someone does on their worst day still has to meet that professional standard in your business. So how do we protect those things? How do we build that into the playbook? And then we hire people who can execute on that playbook.
Well, and some of you might be saying, okay, you're right. I brought in the people and then I wrote the playbook. Now what do I do? Well, you can always write a different playbook. I mean, Cleveland Browns every year are going to write a different playbook as they go into a new season.
Well, God bless them.
God bless them, Stephen Allen. But and they won yesterday, just so you know. So when you look at creating a playbook, it's about how are we going to win. You don't write a playbook to lose. You write a playbook to win. What is our team? What is each position? How is the front desk going to complement our hairdressers? How is our hairdressers going to complement our front desk? How are our assistants going to complement both the front desk and the legacy team? How is the team going to complement the owner? All of those is part of the playbook. How we speak to each other, what's our professional pass-off, what services will we be recommending, the dialogue we use in our salon is such. And we have to find the people that's going to complement all of that. And if they don't, they're not a good fit. So before you even start to think about how do I want to take my service to the next level, we have to make sure we've got the right players in the right position. Now, when we look at the playbook, let's use this. And when I think about sports teams, and I've got a little bit of football in the first 6 and then a couple, but it's not just a playbook by overall. It's a playbook usually by positions, whether it's an offensive playbook or defensive playbook. Then there's a special teams who just goes in and they're either punting or they're receiving punting, or they're receiving those kind. There's kickoff teams. A quarterback has a whole playbook and a coach for them. The linemen have a coaching staff. Running backs have a coaching staff. See, they bring it down to the ridiculous, meaning they bring it down so they can be special in those positions, be specialty in those positions. In baseball, there's a lot of different coaches, but I just added they have a pitching coach, they have a hitting coach. How often are we doing cutting coaches and color coaches and dialogue coaches and consultation coaching? We have to break this down into all the different facets. It's kind of what we try to accomplish during PSC Net too, but it needs to be ongoing in the salon, where we're looking at these different areas of the salon and see how we're doing. Most people, their focus is on the technical side, the cutting and the grooming, or technical for chemical work like in color. But there's all those different things I just listed too. Now, let's look at this. Steve, I'm going to come back to that. So when you look at your ABC way, every one of you right now, whether you like the system or not, has a system of greeting, consultation, wash house, image, cutting, color and color bar, style and finish, and the close. You have a system. You might not like it, but there's a system in all of these areas. And could you improve upon these? Let's talk about this a little bit, Steve.
Okay. So the greeting really is something that all of these, I feel like
steps of service.
They're steps of the service, and they'll just happen, or we can have them happen on purpose. And I think that the way we sound in a business, the dialogue that's used, can be so different from one to the next, and it can be different in the same salon from one to the next. And we have to decide, is that okay?
And sometimes we've been in salons where they'll say, well, that's not how I do it. Well, that's not how I do it. Well, that's not how I say it. We need to create that consistency. Or how about when you come together and a team goes, well, I've been doing this for the last couple of months and it's really working. Why didn't everyone else know about it? Unless we decided to pilot an idea with Mary, that's one thing. Mary's trying something new, and if it works, we're going to launch it to the whole team. But for Mary just to do her own thing, it starts to break down the interior walls of our organization.
Mm-hmm.
I even hate when Steve says that to me. Well, Terry, I've been doing this and I think, well, why didn't you tell me? Why are you keeping that all to yourself? Or why didn't we roll that out to everybody? So if we're sitting on service magic, let's make sure that those services get incorporated to the whole organization. So when you look at the greeting, how is your greeting? We're not asking you to be robotic. We're saying these are the 3 or 4 different greetings you can use in our salon. Not casual, but specific.
Sure, and they can be for someone that's returning to the salon versus someone who's brand new to the salon. The greeting exists between the service desk and a guest walking in, and then there's also the professional greeting with their service provider, with the hairdresser or esthetician. So we have to, again, plan those things. There's the service desk also has a greeting that takes place when the guest calls to make a reservation in the business. So all of those things need to be thought about in advance, written up, practiced, agreed upon. They can be fun sessions, but again, at the end of the day, it should really be the way that you want it to sound. How do you want your business to sound?
And when we have a new employee in there, we all should be introducing that new employee a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes them feel more comfortable. The guest feels more comfortable with the new person in there. The new person feels more comfortable being that their team is introducing them. It creates a fit in a faster way. The consultation, everyone's doing a different one versus your salon consultation. The wash house experience, is everyone giving the same kind of shampoo experience? I mean, I need to tell you, sometimes an owner will say, this is the best person I have on staff, and then I get the shampoo from them, and it's not that great. So what is our shampoo standards? Is it a signature service of ours? How do we romance that, and how do we make it better? And these are great things that cost very little money, but it costs a lot of discipline. And if we want to improve going into 2016 and say, I don't have a budget to make a lot of changes, you don't need a budget for this. You just need standards and focus and discipline. I added image on this because sometimes the image is still one where people do not have makeup on in the salon, or aren't doing their hair for the salon, or aren't in dress code, and as a result, that affects people's perception of our service. And then cutting, color, bar, style, and finish in the clothes, you know what these categories are, but are they specific or are they generic? Now, this is the biggest thing I want you to get on this. They need structure and systems that are solid, that they can trust. They're trusting you with their career.
So the they is your team.
Your staff. Your staff needs structure and systems that are solid, that they can trust. For example, this is how we do it here. Usually, we're more apt to step in when they're doing a haircut and they've got their scissors in the wrong position or their body in the wrong position, but we don't step in as often as we should when their dialogue is wrong or their conversation is inappropriate. We don't step in to that, and that's as critical as the body position and the scissors.
I agree. You know, without a doubt, it's going to come down to creating that. You know, they're almost like rails on that keeps the train on track. And that I use that only for visual. I don't think that this is as simple as that. But for people, a system gives them a specific area in which to perform and know that they're performing well. If we have something that, you know, that in our business that doesn't create that system, remember sometimes we use that as a acronym, the SYSTEM, Simplify Your Salon to Earn More. And that's kind of the way that I think about it. The system should be natural. It should be simple, and that allows people the confidence. A system exists to give confidence, and then that's another word for trust, where Terry says there. So that confidence to perform, to just get there and perform.
Well, and a lot of people still don't like when you step in, and how you step in. I mean, I can tell you, I sit over customer service at PSC, right on top of them, and I can hear. And there's many times when I go, ooh, that didn't sound good to me. So I call down, who were you on the phone with? It sounded like you were uncomfortable. That's stepping in. I wasn't invited. I wasn't walking by, but when I hear it and it doesn't sound right to me, or if I'm walking in a room and I don't like the professional pass off, or I don't like how we extended a coffee to someone, I have to coach it, because obviously they weren't taught the proper way or thought they could get away with the improper way. And I think that you witness that a lot in the school, don't you, Steve?
Oh, I mean, without it, that's what we chase in the school constantly. People, you know, I mean, they're used to. How do I put it? They just systems. They'll fight systems until they realize it's what's great for them.
Yes, until they realize it's great. I could get all worked up about that. I'm not going to. Okay.
Well, and so, you know what's funny, you know, to expand on that in the school, is that a lot of times we'll see people that will fight the system all the way up until they're about 3/4 of the way through school. They'll still have their, I follow it today, I don't follow it tomorrow, I follow these, I don't follow those. And then all of a sudden when they get close where they can see the finish line, where, oh my God, this is going to end and I'm going to actually have to go out and look for work, and I'm going to have to get put into salons that are going to expect this of me. Wow, do they get serious? And all of a sudden the system is they're a savior to them.
So look at the reality of this, and I love this here. I want you to think of service is the offense. Not offensive. I wrote that wrong. Sorry. Service is the offense. So service is offensive. I'm so sorry, everybody. Okay. Service is the offense. So when you look at what you do technically, the dialogue that you state, your chair-side manner, all of that is offense. That's when you have the ball. That's when the guest is in the chair, and that's when you really can make things happen. Your systems that you put in place are the defense to defend what you're doing and how you're doing it. So the facility is the defense, the inventory is the defense, but the systems are the defense. So you can't win. And what do they usually say about football, Steve? Defense wins championships, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we can serve, but if we don't have the systems in place for the service to be seamless, or the facility is not clean, or the facility isn't properly organized, or the inventory isn't looked at in the right way, we're going to lose. So Steve, speak to this a little bit, because you haven't seen this slide, but I really, besides the first line, me making a mistake there, this really makes sense to me.
Okay, so run with it some more, Terry. Help it make sense to me.
Well, when I look at, here comes the guest, the obvious, how often are we communicating this as a team? That when we get together and say, okay, let's talk about our offensive strategy at our salon. All right, where are we spending our time? How are we working on increasing our technical skills? I mean, if you think about even football starting and they all having to go to training camp, they don't start with, they start with the basics at training camp, even though they've all probably played football since they were 8 years old, and these are professional athletes. They all start at training camp in the same way, and they're going to do the drills and get the basics in place and start to think alike. So their technical ability is on the same page. This is how we run the plays. This is what we do. This is the dialogue. This is what the quarterback's going to yell out. This is how we're going to move. This is how we're going to conduct ourselves in our chairside manner. All of these things are necessary for you to look good offensively with the customer in the salon. And if you screw these up, you're gonna lose. So if your technical skills aren't right, you're gonna lose the ball. If your dialogue skills aren't right, you're gonna lose the ball. If your chairside manner isn't right, you're gonna fumble a lot. That's why offensively, you've got to give a lot of time to this. So we could be working on our offensive strategy. Now we have to hit our defense. What systems in place have to be better for us to defend what we're doing here in our salon? When you look at the facility as defense, I mean, I walk in and I think, gosh, I don't know where to start in this salon. So you have to look at how are we presenting ourselves as a facility to the customer too. So it's really offensive and defensive, I think. I hope you guys like that. I'm a big football fan, and it just makes sense to me. But I don't think our staffs understand that our systems are in place to defend what we do. Our facility has standards to defend what we do in our inventory. Did that help? Where'd you go?
Well,
Steve, are you gone?
No, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. What are you thinking about?
Well, I guess my mind is wrestling with the fact that I think that offense requires a system as well.
It does.
And maybe the systems for offense are more obvious than they are for defense. Maybe that's what I'm struggling with.
Well, I don't think it's defense. I think it's systems are in place offensively. Because if you don't have the systems in place to do service, you're going to lose. And so the systems affect every part of our business. It's not that they're excluded from service. They're in place to help with service. And I sometimes think they go, well, I don't have to do the consultation like that. Yes, you do. And our systems are in place. We're thinking about systems all the time to allow the technician to do the job with ease. Not to fight the technician, but to help them. Okay, I guess I'm the only one that got that today, but I like it. So here's our signature services. We've got an opportunity to create signature services separate from other companies. Like, this is how we do it here. This is our greeting. This is how we do our wash house experience. This is how we present color in our salon. Every one of these could be a signature service for you versus generic. Like, for example, maybe you have tray service, that you bring a tray over a certain way when you're doing color. Maybe the steps of the service for your wash house include an opening ritual or a welcoming ritual at the shampoo bar, at the wash house, or a closing ritual in the wash house to prepare them for the technical service. But the point is it generic or is it specific? And you don't even have to say it out loud. You just do it where the customer notices it. You serve because it's your way, and then the customer responds beautifully. I think about greetings, and people say, no one's going to do that. Well, if Cold Stone Creamery can get teenagers, when you walk in the door, to say, welcome to Cold Stone to every customer, and then sing if they receive a gratuity, then we can do it too. They make it a little fun and corny, and the customer, it's playful. But in ours, how can we make it magical? So we're celebrating what we do with our guests. And corny, perhaps, but specific, better. You want to add anything?
I just think that there's always that opportunity to innovate. And if the greeting sounds too generic or if whatnot, innovate. Come up with ideas of how can you greet differently. How can you make something? Maybe you greet with your most recent service menu, and say, right now I just wanted to make sure that I'm covering every one of the fall services that we're offering and featuring right now. And so please accept our menu, and would you like to walk back with me? Whatever that case may be, we've got to innovate to make this all better, but innovate in a way that we can duplicate it and replicate the service.
Well, and the other part is, I think we've talked about this in another class, but it fits here. There's a restaurant in Beverly Hills that we went to, and after we were all done, the check was presented. We were just getting ready to do our final stretch with coffee and bid farewell. And the young man came over with a tray, and he had 6 bags of fresh granola on his tray for the 6 of us. And I thought, what's he doing? We've already paid. And he looked down and he said, because you chose to have your last meal with us tonight, we'd like your first meal tomorrow to be on us. Here's fresh granola for the morning. And I thought, wow, is that great? First of all, the granola was wonderful. But at the same time, they made a decision to make impact different from other restaurants and to take you into the next day. Now, what happens if one of the servers said, yeah, I'm not doing that. That granola's stupid. We don't have time to do that. My tables are here. They paid. They're done. They're not going to miss the granola. They've all made a decision that we're going to create a signature farewell. That's what we're talking about. And does it have to be a product? Not always, but it could be something to bid farewell in a very specific way once you leave the chair or leave the salon. So I just think that we're missing ways to say, how can we be unique? How can we be different? How can we make a difference that it's a lasting difference, so if they go to another salon, they go, you know what, that didn't feel as good as the one I've chosen.
And I do think the word ritual is going to play a part in this. As you innovate, think about how can we add particular ritual here and there along the way in order to create that new spark, that new uniqueness about everything that we're doing.
I think that's good. And when you talk about house specialties, if you say to people, what's your house specialties in the salon? Well, we like cutting here. That's really boring. But if we say we're very skillful cutters in the salon, and we spend a lot of our time dreaming and creating and being even better, but skillful cutters. So now we just went from we like cutting to we are very skillful cutters in the salon, and we take cutting very seriously. We don't want to just say we like color. How about we celebrate color in our salon? We've got to find ways that are uniquely us, that say what we do. See, one of the reasons customers get bored is because the businesses are boring. That's why they start looking for different opportunities for themselves, that they can jump into a more exciting environment. Our job to create the romance and the execution that keeps them wanting to come back over and over again. Success on purpose is something very, very specific to this topic. This is never by accident. This is always on purpose, and we do it this way. So when someone is trained and positioned in our salon, we're teaching them the 10 steps or the 8 steps that every guest will receive every time. And no, you don't have permission to leave step 6 out. No, you don't have permission not to greet the right way. No, you don't have permission to not drape the guest at the chair the way we all do here. Uniformity, is that the right word? Uniformity?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
is very attractive to the guest. And I can tell you, even as a customer, I'm attracted to uniformity in the medical industry. I love when you walk in and the dentist's chair is all set up with every tool that they're going to use. If they just had them in a bag and we're going to open them up and throw them on the tray when you arrive, that wouldn't be as impressive. So presentation of being prepared for the next patient is something that some salons could do better at, preparing their station for the next guest. What can we learn from other businesses that do it better than we do? Or what do we learn from other businesses when it feels absolutely fantastic as a customer? Bring those ideas into our business as well. When I think about, page up. When I think about success on purpose, I think about Nordstrom. I think about Starbucks. You know, Starbucks was the one that said, "Thank you very much, see you at the window." Instead of you can pull around, right, or pull up to window 2, they decided to change and say, "See you at the window," and made it fun. And we all caught on that they said it, and it felt better than what people said before. But did anyone come back and say, okay, we need to change what we're saying too, because "see you at the window" made sense to us? I think that when you go into different businesses that understand this, or concentrate on this, or focus on this, and create a dream team that says, how can we be better than we are before, and not have it cost anything, that we serve, it's people serving people. So there's got to be ways that we can serve to enlighten the guest experience. It doesn't cost us anything. It just costs us our focus and our discipline.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking about, Steve?
Well, I'm still thinking about just
where are you back
much...
at Uber? You're talking about Uber again?
No, well, I could. But...
Hey, you know, I did want you to bring up how Uber does rating now, both ways. So I did want you to bring that up.
Okay. Well, one of the things that that Uber does in particular is that both the driver rates the passenger on a scale, and the passenger rates the driver after each ride, and then they have a cumulative. And so here's how it works. The reason why the driver rates the passenger is that they can, when you request an Uber, it puts that request out there, and then a driver latches onto it based on how close he is and how quickly he can get there, but also based on your rating. If your rating is a lower rating on the scale, they're not going to be as eager to pick you up.
Pick you up, right.
And the same thing as far as a driver, if they get consistently or they even get a couple of low ratings or no ratings because they consider that to be low, they're going to be talking to that driver, and with a certain amount they'll just request that they not be an Uber driver. So I think it's I think it's important, but I think that the best thing that they've done is they've found a way to communicate directly with their guest, and it makes me jealous as an owner sometimes that I don't have as easy access to every single person that buys from PSC or every single guest that walks out of our school. That they do, and yeah. They figured out how to do that better than we have so far. And here we are in a personal service business, in the salon business, and we've got X number of guests coming through the business each month. each week, and how many of them are you personally touching, and how many of them have something to say about your business and no vehicle to say it? And so that's what
beautiful.
I mean, that's one of the things that
yeah, you're going to be pushing us for 2016, right?
Keeping me up at night. Absolutely.
Well, and here's the other thing. You know, when I look at, I received a message this week from a salon saying, look, we've got a couple rooms that we don't know what to do with. What are you thinking about? Well, as I was Steve was flying back on Friday from this conference, and I was able to jump on and do some learning myself for 3 hours. And they did a whole thing on mindfulness and /wellness for 3 hours. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is how can PSC, and you might be thinking about this too, not only do business, but create a business that also creates wellness and mindfulness for your guests. So when they're in here, I think it's kind of the spa feel, but it's the mental side of the spa, creating a wellness area. And is your salon create wellness for the customer or just business for the customer? And I think that sometimes even at PSC, we've got to focus on. So I think you're going to see some different things from us in 2016 as well, is how do we create mindfulness and wellness for our salon so they in turn want to create mindfulness and wellness for their guests as well. You know, that's going to be changing our dialogue. I think the whole world's dialogue is going to be moving in that direction. And because I think for a long time it was much about sustainability, and now it's going to be how does our business help you feel better about you doing business with us. And that's not easily accomplished, not at the pace of life now. Life is moving so fast, but it's also a golden opportunity for us to step in and say, doing business with us, we have a focus on it being all about you, not the dollar, right? Not the dollar, but also about you feeling better as a result on the other side of it. Boy, the beautiful thing about the beauty industry is we're already going after and helping them in the obvious transition of beauty, whether it's a haircut or color or making them feel better. But now we have to focus on the mental side of what that does too, the inside as well as the outside. And think about how our businesses can do that in the coming. And it's something we're going to have to focus on either. I don't have the answers for it yet, but I know that they better want to be a better version of themselves after they leave us, or we haven't done our job.
So Terry, can we open this up for any questions?
Any questions? Yes.
Well, let's unmute all.
I feel like Faith Popcorn. Remember when Faith Popcorn used to say things, and I think, oh my gosh, what is she talking about? Because she was a futurist. But I think that when you look at what's coming up, there's no questions right yet. When you think about even what schools are doing now, and Goldie Hawn, it was one of the speakers that I listened to on Friday, and when she was talking about even schools have to realize they're not just educating children. They need to create mindfulness and wellness in children during the learning process. So I think a lot of that is going to be moving in that direction going forward.
Okay, I'm trying to unmute everyone. Okay, so those of you that are on our webinar this morning live, as compared to listening to the recording afterwards, you now are all unmuted. Please feel free to ask questions that you have, and they can be directly related to today's topic or just something that you thought about while you were listening.
And we also owe them a topic that we're going to get recorded very quickly. I'll probably get it done in the next...
on making noise. Mm-hmm.
Making noise. I'll get that recorded, and you'll have it to view. Thanks for your understanding on that. We had I can't remember, something came up.
So does anyone have something? Sonia, any thoughts? Rebecca, Jamie?
You guys are never this quiet.
Never this quiet.
It must be that Monday morning stuff.
Are they working on payroll while they're listening to us?
Yeah, I hope not. Okay, well, we're done. Oh, drills. I wanted to talk about drills, and that was one of the slides that I passed up. I was looking at what are the drills that an athlete has to do while they're preparing their body for muscle memory. And that's why drills are in place, muscle memory. So what are the drills that we need to do? That's why a basketball player will take 1,000 shots. That's muscle memory. So what do we do to create muscle memory for the brain, whether it's in dialogue? We recite it over and over and over again. How is it that we can hear a song from 1994 and know all the words to it, and we haven't sung it in 20 years or so? It's because we sang it so much in 1994, it gave us muscle memory. So you need to do that with body position, you need to do that with formulation, you have to do drills to keep your muscle in tune and keep that brain focused. So what are the drills that can be done? And I've asked Steve to do this for our company too, for our consulting staff. What are the drills they should be doing for great muscle memory? And have you thought of anything like that or about that since I said that to you?
I think about it every time you ask me, which is about every day, if I've come up with anything yet. So yeah, I've thought about it a lot. However, I think it's a matter of those things that are physical versus mental.
And Scott Cole gave you that great tool to use with.
Oh, for the school skills and drills is awesome, but it's all about physically handling tools and scissors and combs.
All right. So now, how do we do it and create the same kind of disciplines mentally? And that's going to be key for us all moving forward too.
Okay. Well, we've got homework to do.
I think we're done.
Thank you all so very much for, again, spending a Monday morning with us. We're very grateful for your time, your energy,
and
your
we're
thoughts,
too, right? We're brainstorming
loyalty.
for 2016, and if you've got some ideas of what things you're looking for, let us know.
Yeah, you know what? This is all going to open up to the people that are the best learners. I really believe, and not only learn but implement. So let us know too as you implement some of these things, make them, review them for your business, for your salons, and as you implement, let us know. Okay? Thank you. Have a terrific week, a great month, and look for that additional recording that we owe you on making some noise very soon this month.
Success on purpose, everyone. Talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.